Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome into my garden. Today I am back with another weekly garden update. This is the early mid-August edition. It is very, very hot. So let's go ahead and get started and let's see what's going on. Okay, we are starting things off over here in the tomato patch, which is slowly going to be transitioned into fall and winter crops, which we can talk about right now because just a few days ago, 2 days ago actually, I transplanted some Brussels sprout starts that I started from seed a few weeks ago into this bed. They go all the way down the back of this bed. They're spaced about a foot apart. I did not measure them, to be entirely accurate, but they are about 12 inches apart. I know that it is 412 degrees outside. Not really, the high is 102 today. So that seems really hot to be putting out your fall crops. However, Brussels sprouts are some of the longer crops in terms of days to maturity. So you have to get those in a little bit sooner than you would your broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, things like that. So I have put them underneath the shade cloth, which gives them about 10 degrees cooler temperatures and not so much harsh sunlight directly on them. So I hope that they will be okay and not go straight to seed on me. But they are looking pretty good, considering they are out here in the blasted August heat. So just give you a look at this end down here. They look pretty good. They're still little guys, but they look a lot better than they did whenever I transplanted them the other day. We also have eggplant here that is as tall as I am. And let's see, here we go. I only have one that's currently, like a decent size, but there's kind of blooms all over. Maybe a couple more set fruits on here, like right here, that looks like a set fruit. So should see some eggplants ready to harvest in a week or two. So that's pretty awesome. This bed here still has tomatoes trucking along. I did pick off a really big fat hornworm from this porter tomato yesterday. It was nibbling on a baby tomato. You can see where it was here, chomping on all the leaves. There are also, there's a green dragonfly, and it had distracted me. It went fluttering off that way. Anyway, in this bed, there are also cow peas planted, and I've pretty much harvested all the ones that were ready, but you can see lots of blooms still starting to happen. The good thing about cow peas is they will still produce even whenever it is so hot that you don't want to be outside in your garden. So it's good to know that there will still be food even, when I'm hiding in my air-conditioned house. This basil, okay, so a few weeks ago, I cleaned out this bed. It had tomatoes on both sides, and literally the entire middle you could not see at all. You couldn't tell what plants were growing or anything, because the tomatoes were so overgrown and wild and everything else. And this was just a tiny little basil just a few weeks ago, and now it is just this massive shrub, and it is beautiful. And that smells like blue spice, which is one of the most fragrant varieties. It's my favorite in terms of the way that it smells. Obviously, this is a really healthy, lush plant. There is a squash in here, although I can't remember what kind. It's looking pretty good. It looks like something nibbled that leaf though, probably a dang roly-poly. I've been battling those all season long. And then, let's see here, moving on. This bed was also a tomato bed. There's no more tomatoes in here, obviously. This one gets blasted completely by the sun for most of the day. So it's just like overheated and kind of wild and not doing so great right now, as you can tell. I probably actually need to go ahead and cut this marigold down because it's looking quite Not well. This lime basil is looking really great though. That is one plant, y'all, and that is just glorious. There are some cow peas down here, a Persian basil that I cut pretty heavily back last week, and then another marigold that actually looks quite a bit better. It just doesn't have any flowers on it. The cow peas are doing pretty good. You can see a few baby cow peas right here. This variety is Purple Hull Pink Eye. Another issue, and I'm not really too sure if it's really an issue or if it's a sign that everything is breaking down the way that it should be in here. All the mushrooms. There have been mushrooms just sprouting all throughout this bed for well over a week now. I showed it in last week's update as well. There were some here. You can see where they're kind of like dried up and shriveled and nasty now. But they are not like a poisonous kind. I did a little bit of research and I can't remember what kind they are, but they are an edible variety. They just don't have, you know, like a whole lot of flavor. Apparently the flavor is kind of like eating wheat flour by itself. Sounds kind of grody, so I'm not going to attempt to eat them. I don't think that they're harming the beds, because everything that I read just says that they pop up in like decomposing matter and stuff, wood chips a lot of the time. And they were like, oh yeah, they're still here. Check that out. Mushrooms galore. This is what they look like whenever they're like new. And then that's what they look like when they start to decompose and dry up. And then they just turn like more brown and shrivelly. Like that right there. So, pretty cool cycle of life seeing that happen. This lime basil, I'm coming back to because I wanted to show you guys the bee. See if I can get in on that. There we go. Hello, little bee. Oh, they went away. Okay, I spooked. All right. These two beds that are along the fence here, these have sweet peppers along the fronts, and then they have okra along the back. The okra is slowly turning into trees, which is glorious. And then there's more varieties of basil. There's some marigolds, and then I have a couple of other sporadic squash plants growing throughout here as well. These four pepper plants here are all banana peppers, and they have been quite prolific all season. I just canned 2 more pints of pickled banana peppers yesterday, bringing my total to 5 now, which is pretty great. I'm totally stoked with that. Last year I did 0 amount of pickling, canning at all, so definitely an improvement over last year. These okras here, this tall one right here, this is white velvet, and the okra pods they are kind of fuzzy, so they do feel velvety, but they are smooth. They don't have like thick spines, and they're not the big fat round ones. They're long and skinny varieties. So here you go, you can kind of see here. So if I'm able to get enough of a harvest going of the skinny varieties, I would like to try pickling them. Obviously this would be mixed in with some of the other skinnier varieties as well, but I wanted to point this one out because it's a fuzzy one. It's fun. Right here we have Jing orange okra here, and this one as well. The good thing about this variety especially is it will have other branches fork off of the bottom, and then you get more okra growing off of those forked off branches. So it's not just one single stem that you're getting okra off of. The white velvet is the same way. So these 3 plants, I'm getting like multiple pods of okra every day because they have all these forked off branches that are producing as well. This one, I believe, is Hill Country Red. So you can see it kind of turns red as it spends more time in the sun. And it's kind of a longer, skinnier variety as well. And it has also forked off and is creating pods there. There's some more back there if you can see it. And then this variety right here on the end is Heavy Hitter. Now, back in June, we had some pretty high winds that damaged this plant. So it's kind of growing back from a stump essentially, and it's looking really healthy. I harvested my first pot off of it this morning. This is heavy hitter, so there should be many more to follow from there. These 4 pepper plants here are California Wonder bell peppers, and I have a ton of bell peppers growing. I'm super happy about all the bell peppers that I have growing because we've actually been eating a ton of bell peppers this year and I haven't had to buy them, and it has been glorious. Over here in this bed we have more of the same sweet peppers, and then more varieties of okra trees. This is the Lesia pepper, so it actually ends up kind of heart-shaped, although this one's growing upside down, so it's not quite meeting that heart shape. But this is a super sweet, thick-walled pepper. You can use it like you would use your bell peppers, or you can just eat it fresh or whatever. It has been fantastic, so I'll plant more than one of this one next year for sure, because I have really enjoyed that one. This one, or these 2 plants are Mulatto Isleno, which are a brown poblano type pepper, but they are smaller than your traditional poblanos. You can see this one here starting to turn a little bit, so it really doesn't get much bigger than this. But I have been dehydrating them and crushing them up and using them for chili powder, and they've been fantastic. I don't know if I'm going to grow them again next year, even though the plant is obviously super prolific. It takes so many to get a measurable amount of chili powder that I would have to plant probably 3 times as many plants as you see here. So I'm kind of debating if I want to grow these again or go back to traditional poblanos or do a mix, or what. If you guys have any suggestions for like really prolific, really awesome peppers that I could use for chili powder, please drop them in the comments, because I'm always up for growing new varieties and sort of testing the limits on what I can produce in my backyard garden here. Let's see, I'm trying to remember what varieties of okra these are. Okay, so these 2, this tall one here and this one, are Eagle Pass. So they're a Texas bred variety. This one is a lot shorter because it had gotten kind of crowded out by this basil. So I cut this basil back, and now this one's starting to put on some height finally. But you can see it will get quite tall if it has favorable conditions. These 2 are Clemson spineless. So these are, you know, the longer, skinnier varieties compared to the short, stubby. All right, my phone overheated. I'm not exactly sure where I left off. Those 2 varieties on the end are Eagle Pass. These 2 right here are Clemson spineless. You can see that these are like the long, skinny varieties. I missed harvesting this one this morning, so I'll need to grab it before it gets oversized and woody and gross, like this one that I did not see. Now, it gets kind of hard to cook these once they are too big. It becomes really difficult to break the fiber structure down because they do get quite woody, but I'm going to try anyway. Maybe I can slowly saute it and kind of soften it up a bit. These 2 varieties are Alabama Red, and these are the short, stubby, kind of star-shaped. See if I can bend this down to kind of show you. Short and stubby compared to long and skinny. We have some Purple Beauty bell peppers here. There's a few growing there. That's awesome. I didn't see those. Then we have Ashvarsky peppers here, and then Violet Sparkle is these 2 plants. There's a black zucchini plant growing. I'm not quite sure what kind of flying insect that was that just buzzed through here. This is more blue spice basil. It has been really happy here all season long, and it just keeps going. Hello. Hello. Happy baby. Happy baby. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, so these are the Barebones giant zinnias here and here. I believe they're the same color. Look how massive these flowers are. They're just huge and beautiful and pretty long lasting. This has been open for well over a week. There is a moth with many more blooms set to open. There's a newer one. Over here is the sunflower patch. A little bit of shade, so hopefully keeps the phone from overheating again. There's a couple of sunflower mixes planted in here. So along the back is just like a really random sunflower mix. It has several varieties. Then these 4 is like red sunflower mix. And then had to run inside so my phone could cool down. So these 4 right here in the middle front are all a red sunflower mix. So we'll see what happens whenever they bloom. This one on the end is a chocolate cherry. This one was supposed to be a chocolate cherry, but none of them germinated. So tons of fun there. Moving on to the flower bed. There's quite a bit more happening this week than there was last week. Hopefully, since we're in the shade, my phone will be all right. But we're gonna try to hopefully quickly go through this a bit. So this is Snapdragon that I'm trying to remember the name of. Black Prince, maybe. Black Prince Snapdragon. I'll try to remember the name of it and flash it on the screen. It is a perennial here for me in North Texas, and it has been blooming since probably February or March, and it's just been going nonstop. I will just come out and deadhead these spent blooms, and it just continues to put on more. We have some amaranth here. This one is looking pretty good. This is edible, but I just grow it as an ornamental. And then we have profusion zinnias that are blooming pretty much all the way down the bed. We do have the Barebones giant that are starting to open up, and then we have some sunflowers that are open pretty much all the way down the bed as well. I do need to step into the sun for just a minute to show you guys the pumpkin on a stick here. Hopefully I don't stab myself, but it's starting to set some fruits. These are technically an eggplant, but whenever they ripen, they do look like pumpkins, and they will be on the long stem there, hence the name. I don't think there's any on that one yet, but this one is pretty much a repeat all the way down with profusion zinnias. There is gomphrena here. The agastache is looking pretty good. More sunflowers, Barebones giant, zinnia, all the way down. Milkweed doing pretty well. I don't even see the aphid issue, so that's pretty awesome. Then we have sunflower. This one's going to open soon. It's going to be a different color than the yellow ones here. More profusion. Barebones giant zinnias here. Really pretty. All right, this green stalk is cream peas and more of the cowpeas. Now the cowpea production, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I harvested a whole ton of these. So there's a few like babies out here, and then there's some new growth that's going to probably turn into blooms and future peas on here, but and then there's a couple that look like they're trying to die off. These are newer field peas that were planted, so they haven't started producing any fruits yet, but it shouldn't be too much longer. And then this lemon balm or whatever it was that I cut down is coming back with a vengeance, so I need to come back in and really make sure I get rid of it fully. This was a bush bean plant that I planted that just sat here for months and didn't do anything. Now all of a sudden it has bush beans, so that's pretty funny. Looks like a field pea that needs to be harvested. Okay, I'm going to try to stay in the shade to give you somewhat of an update here. More Barebones giant zinnias. This is a salmon, I believe. So beautiful. I planted a Prism Sunshine Petunia up here. That's a yellow variety, so that'll be really cute whenever it starts trickling out of the basket and such. This green stalk has hot peppers. For a few weeks, it was looking really sad and kind of pathetic, and I wasn't getting any peppers off of it at all, so I paid quite a bit of attention to fertilizer, water needs, really just keeping up with the fertilizer. And now there are peppers all over. Like, this is one Mexi Bell plant, and you can see probably 10 peppers on this small little plant here. I think this is a Craig's Grande jalapeno. This is a Hungarian wax, Buena Mulata. This one has been looking a little questionable for a couple of days, but after the sun moves away from it, it's perfectly fine. So I think it's just heat stress. There's jalapenos all over. If you can kind of see in there. There's serranos. Then we have cayennes, like, and a big bee. You can see him or her, probably a her. Mushroom peppers getting ripe. There is a ripe cayenne there that I need to get later, but there's a ton of cayennes on this plant. And then this rattlesnake plant over here on this side has a ton on it. This is part of the hatch chili family, so really excited to see what these taste like once they're ripe. Serrano there. We have Sugar Rush Peach down here. Something nibbled on, nope, it's just a dead leaf. Okay, those look pretty good. Really excited to see all the peppers on here because I'm hoping to be able to pickle some jalapenos. So yeah, really happy that I was able to kind of bring these back from the brink and get lots of fruit set here. Moving on into the sun, I'm gonna try to come over here. All right, so this is the strawberry green stalk. The strawberries that are, growing, obviously, are doing really well. They have put off runners, so I have set the runners into the neighboring pockets and kind of hoping that they'll drop down roots into those pockets and continue to grow. This one is almost like into the next pocket, so I'm just going to continue it around, hopefully kind of fill up the pockets that way on those rows, and then I'll figure out what to do with those other 2 rows another day. Lime tree, I'm trying to stay in the shade so nobody gets overheated. This one right here is just about ready. I'm just letting it soften up just a little bit because it's really hard and I want to make sure my limes are juicy, so I'm just leaving them as long as I can. Hodgepodge green stalk here. The okra is really starting to come along. You can see here, I'll need to harvest this one as well. It actually wasn't ready this morning when I harvested, so pretty cool. I do want to check on the peppers on this side because I haven't in a little while. The kids are enjoying their last week of summer break, so they're being a little rowdy in there. All right, so we have some blooms, maybe set fruit on that lemon habanero there. Not really sure. Then there's habanero here, and this is a habanero. These might be getting too much shade right here. I'm not 100% sure, but they're at least healthy. So, and then it looks like this Carolina Reaper is finally starting to create some blossoms, and it's grown a little bit finally. It was kind of stunted for a while, but that's kind of the gist on that. I have another Prism Sunshine Petunia planted here. Hopefully it doesn't fry because it gets a lot of sun right there. And then that's basically Blue Spice Basil, Alyssum, Zinnia, and then there's some Greek oregano down here that volunteered. So a hodgepodge flower pot. But it looks really cool and it's pretty healthy, so just kind of let it do its thing. One last quick look at this very hot August garden. All right, overall, things look really great considering it has been triple digits all week. I believe this is day 4 in a row. It will cool down a tiny bit tomorrow. So hopefully with that 5-degree temperature drop, these plants feel a little bit of relief. But overall, I am pretty happy with how everything is looking here in my August North Texas vegetable garden. I've definitely seen it look worse in previous years. So definitely quite chuffed at how things are progressing along. I'm really happy with how productive a lot of the pepper plants are being right now. Like, I'm just absolutely floored about the sweet peppers with their productivity this year. That has been stellar. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you liked today's weekly update and you want to see how my garden continues to progress and grow and change, feel free to hit that like, subscribe, comment, all of those different YouTube-y things. Anyway, it is greatly helping my channel. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye!